Protesters pledged to tear down Lincoln's Emancipation Memorial in the Capitol. And they couldn't do it yesterday, and so they said they were coming to topple it on Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
They're going to come back Thursday night.
It's 7 p.m. Glenn. They've given the time and everything, so this one should be a little stop.
Yeah, it should be good, all right? So now, this is a 150-year-old statue. It is a statue of Abraham Lincoln, and kneeling down by him are African slaves. Oh my gosh. Well, the chains are broken, you see. And yet, that damn Abraham Lincoln forced them to get down on their knees and worship him. Or the statue just represents a group of people who were very grateful for him. It was enacted and erected 11 years to the day of his death. Okay? The guy was assassinated for doing what he felt was right, abolishing slavery. Okay. All right. So now they say you can't have the African American subservient to the President Abraham Lincoln. And the people who made the statue just didn't listen to African Americans. The only problem is it was commissioned by former slaves and paid for by former slaves. Oh my gosh, I can't take it. The first $5 for that statue actually came from a woman who was a slave, then freed, then got a job, and she took the first $5 she earned and put it towards a statue and suggested that others do the same, and they did. Oh my gosh. Okay, so they tried to take it down yesterday. A black woman was there in the crowd, and she was saying, "What are you doing? You're wrong about Abraham Lincoln. You're wrong about this." Well, the crowd shouted back, "Even Frederick Douglass had a problem with this statue." Oh, really? We're listening to Frederick Douglass now, are we? Now is the time when we're listening. Frederick Douglass, the guy who said the Constitution and the Declaration were the most powerful anti-slavery documents and abolitionist documents ever created. We're listening to him now. Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure. So the group said, "We'll be back on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Don't miss Must See TV, 7 p.m. only on CNN. We want this statue gone. And also," and I'm quoting, "we're not seeking any relationship with the police. In order to change, we do so by any means necessary. If you want a revolution, it won't happen by being peaceful." Wow. Well, don't forget, this is a largely peaceful group, a poetry group. They were writing poetry most of the day, and then they also issued that. But out of all the words they said that day, like, "Hey, let's go to the park." Yes, some of them were violent, but most of the words they used, like, "Did you bring your gun? Did you bring your rope to tear it down?" Those were largely peaceful words. Okay, so we have that. Now, let me ask you a question. Abraham Lincoln was evil. Stu, can you help me out with this, right?
Sure, yeah.
Abraham Lincoln was evil.
Okay, he was?
Thomas Jefferson.
Okay.
No, I'm just in today's newspeak, okay? Right? Abraham Lincoln was evil. George Washington was evil. Thomas Jefferson was evil. And Theodore Roosevelt was evil. Correct? We can't have those statues anymore.
That is the
right, okay.
The will of the people.
That's the
apparently.
thinking of the day, yeah. Yeah, will of the people. Okay. You know what those four people have in common? They're the faces on Mount Rushmore! On Mount Rushmore! So are we going to blow up Mount Rushmore now, too? America, do you not see what's happening? They are erasing everything about us. They are erasing everything. And who's doing it? Who's doing it? Well, let me give you a couple of ideas. They're in New York at the statue of Teddy Roosevelt. Now, it's not Teddy Roosevelt that they have a problem with. No. They don't have a bit. Because remember, he started the Progressive Party. Okay? He was the one who said, we don't let imbeciles just breed. I mean, and I'm quoting, even our own farmers know if you've got cattle, you just don't let the cattle breed with any other cow. So why would we do that with our people? I love him. Anyway, Teddy Roosevelt has a statue in front of the Museum of Natural History, and because he was a nature lover, and he loved toying with nature, as I just pointed out. But the problem is that Teddy Roosevelt is on his noble steed, and there are Indians standing next to the horse. Yes, Native Americans standing next to the horse. Their head, I saw the king and I. Why your head not my height? Why you always put your head above mine? I saw the king and I know how it works. Why are those Indians' heads lower than Teddy Roosevelt's? Lower than Abraham Lincoln? Oh, we know why. So they're taking that down, and of course Bloomberg is all over this. Over the last few weeks, I'm quoting, our museum community has been profoundly moved by the ever-widening movement for racial justice that has emerged after the killing of George Floyd. We have watched as attention of the world and the country has increasingly turned to statues as powerful and hurtful symbols of systematic racism. Can I tell you something? I have been so hurt and oppressed by some of these powerful statues. Oh my gosh, I just... Sometimes I cry myself to sleep on what those statues and how those statues are oppressing me. I could have been somebody. I could have been a contender, but no, the statues that dot this evil, racist land have been oppressing me like crazy. The deeply divisive deposing of our beloved statue, which came under criticism for its problematic depiction of Native American and an African man flanking Teddy Roosevelt astride on horseback, has raised objections from all over the country. So, Teddy Roosevelt. Why Teddy Roosevelt? Well, let's look at who's on the storied museum's board of directors. First, we find, Tina Fey. Tina Fey. There's nothing wrong with Tina Fey, right? I mean, she's never done it. Wait a minute. Tina Fey, didn't she produce 30 Rock, Stu? What was the story about 30 Rock just this week? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, it's a pretty good one. It was multiple shows with Tina Fey, but 30 Rock, there was a lot of blackface in it. They used blackface. They had to pull the episodes out of the series because there was blackface utilized. She also used Asian stereotypes throughout her shows that people are upset about over and over again. But,
all right.
No big deal.
She also in Mean Girls, she was making fun of gay men too, right? I think so. Okay. All right. Well, let's dismiss Tina Fey from NBC. Okay. The next one on the board is, Tom Brokaw, who is also from, didn't he work at, NBC. NBC, that's right. So Tom Brokaw is on the board, and Tom Brokaw, he has no problems, except for the two former NBC colleagues who have accused him of sexual harassment. But other than that, and that, you know what? NBC is the kind of company that gets to the bottom of those kinds of accusations. Ooh, did I just say bottom, NBC? Then, of course, also on the board is, wow, now this is a coincidence, Lorne Michaels, another guy from NBC. Wow. And then, of course, you have the ever normal, everyday housewife, Jackie Bezos, Jeff Bezos' mom. So we know she's got some, real understanding of oppression. Then, of course, they have the corporate patrons, which, Michael Bloomberg, then Goldman Sachs, and who else? Anybody else? And also part of the consulting team now is Shirlane McRae. If she would have taken her husband's name, you'd know her. She's the wife of Bill de Blasio. But she didn't take, she's not going to be held down by a man. Now, Bill de Blasio, as you know, loves this nation. And Shirlane McRae, she has been tasked now by Bill de Blasio with deciding the fate of structures honoring historic figures tainted by slavery, including George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. She's part of a new commission on racial justice and reconciliation. So, and she's already started. She got rid of the Mother Cabrini statue. The Saint Cabrini. She was passed over for a statue in Central Park because they needed Dr. Helen Trias to have a statue. And you say to yourself, okay, Cabrini over Dr. Trias. Glenn, just remind me who Dr. Trias is. I know you're not saying that, but I'm sure some of the racists are saying that in this audience. Of course, we all know she's a Latina, or a Latink, as they're now supposed to be called, and desegregation activist. She was also an LGBTQ advocate, and a trans woman. So you don't have the saint, but you do have Dr. Trans, which I think is really super special and exactly where this nation should be headed. Don't you think? Seriously? I think it all makes sense. I'm just practicing. Did it sound like I meant that, Stu?
Oh, it sounded almost sincere, Glenn. Almost.
Okay, because when I'm getting the electric shocks, I just want to be able to say, no, I believe that. No, yes, that's right. And just to make the electric shocks stop.
It's part of your role.
Just one more. Thank you. Just one more note. This one from the Federalist this morning. There's a great op-ed in the Federalist. Of course, we don't read the Federalist because Google says that they're evil. But they pointed out in history that every time that a nation pulls down statues and they go through this, the next thing is people. That they just start shooting people. But don't worry, it's only happened every time in human history. When you start pulling down statues, that's never enough. After you pull down the statues, you have to kill people, which is really weird because it follows two things. My suggest, shove, and shoot theory. We're now in the shove period and about to go into the shoot. And also a prediction that I said when the summer of rage happens, which I think we're in, you'll start to see 1968 events happening like assassinations and shootings. So I can't wait. Even more good news for you. There will be more Americans that will die. And that's got to be a good thing, right? Yes, absolutely a good thing.